Hey everyone, what is going on? Bienvenidos a todos. Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy, Man Like Will, and today doing a match review of the Manchester City versus Arsenal game that happened yesterday at the Etihad, which ended 2-2 in the most dramatic of fashions. Obviously, I cannot do this alone. I had to grab the big guns here, and I am joined by a very, very special guest. And please allow me in welcoming the also lovely Soph. Welcome in, Soph. How are you
Nigeria.
today?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, I love that. Well, I love your intro as well. That it was so cool. But yeah, I know we tried to do this for a while, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I would have loved to have us won yesterday, but I think it's going to be a good session to just chat about the game. And
Mhm.
yeah, a big thank you so much for having me on your channel, and I can't wait to get started.
Of course. And before we get started, please, for everyone who is watching this video, please smash a like on not only on this video, but of course, please do the Lord's work, and also please go on and subscribe to Gunner Gossip
Thank you.
TV. That is Soph's channel as well. Show some love over there. She makes some incredible content. So yeah,
Oh,
do that.
thank you.
If you're not,
Oh.
then what are you doing with yourself? So, but oh, so where do we begin? A lot of mixed emotions. Well, first of all, I'm gonna just open the floor with this. What did you make of yesterday's performance from the Arsenal?
I think for me, like going into the game, Arsenal midweek, we drew 0-0, and I was sort of feeling to myself, I would take a draw going into the game,
Mhm.
especially because we've beaten Spurs, and that's always a tough game. Obviously, the team must go in. You must go into the game hoping for a win. Um, so yeah, when sort of happened, I mean, we all knew Haaland would probably score. I know defensively was so amazing, and obviously at the end we defended amazing too. But at the start of the game, I think it wasn't a surprise when Holland scored. But I just think the way we sort of bounced back, like Calafiori's goal, like I didn't even know he had that in his locker. Like
I didn't either. Incredible goal. Oh
I
my
was
days.
I honestly like obviously he started and no Ben White had a rest. I think he might have had an injury or picked up an injury.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was happy to see Calafiori start, but like you said, it was a surprise to see him score a goal like that. And I think that goal came at a good time for us because it helped us get back in the game. And then shortly after, obviously Gabriel got a goal. It's the red card instance are quite an interesting one because the Rice red card is a sort of similar thing. When I saw Trossard's the situation, I wasn't sure if he kind of if it was to do with him bumping into a City player or is it because he kicked the ball away. And I think I've gathered that it was probably that he kicked the ball away. And I think for me, it seems like a silly rule, and in that situation, Trossard didn't deliberately kick the ball. It was just, it was a bit of a weird one. I think it was quite harsh, but I think I know the rules are now that you can't kick the ball away, and it is what it is. And I was just so surprised, like we said off air, defensively, we
Mhm.
did, I know until the last minute we sort of conceded, but to have been able to kind of park the balls, defend so well, and Man City really struggled to break us down actually. And I do start to think they're starting to fear us a little bit now, because for years we really struggled against Man City. I know that last season when we played them, we did park the bus, we didn't go for it as much. So I'm really
Mhm.
proud of the team for going for it more yesterday. But yeah, defensively, I just feel proud of the team, but I think it's just a bit frustration, isn't it? We're like a minute away from winning, and yeah, it's devastating really if you think about it. And I know the players were so close to getting that win, but we will play them at the Emirates, and I really hope we'll win that game. And I know the team will have that fire in their belly. I know Gabriel will want to get his own back on Haaland because you can sort of sense now there's a bit of rivalry between both the teams, which
Oh,
I
100%.
absolutely love. Yeah.
Mhm. I can see that from the especially after like after Haaland scored his goal, you can see the level of frustration Gabriel had. He was
Yeah.
like, ah, why did I leave so much space open for this guy? And then Haaland, he gave him like a little bit of a wink. You know what I mean? He was like, ah, I got you now, yeah, I got you. And again, that's what I would like to see more from the boys is like, let me like, can I have like see some more belief in yourselves? Don't put your head down when
Yeah.
you're down 1-0. And uh, I after that goal that Kyle 30 scored, which was impeccable. In my opinion, that
Yeah. It
goal is
was
going to be one of the best goals of the season. Um, yeah, I think the boys started to really believe more in themselves, even though like the system that Arteta kind of started being a lot more defensive. Because I don't think I think it's kind of rare to see him start with a 4-4-2, because
yeah.
that is prime Barclays system right there. You know what I mean? And so, um, in the end, it I just like I feel like we weren't really going to be attacking as much, but I think Arteta knew that. Uh,
Yeah.
and our set pieces I thought were on point. Gabriel scored, as you mentioned earlier. Um, what I was meaning to ask you, what did you make of his changes? You saw that Ben White was put
Yeah.
on Saka.
I think I think for me like Saka's probably our most I think if you talk about players who are going to score in the game, you'd probably say Trossard, Saka, Havertz. I think those are sort of players you expect to score.
Mhm.
Um, I gonna be honest, at first I was a bit surprised because
Yes.
I did think we would play more defensive in the second half, but I was thinking, are we gonna have a Jorginho on, maybe change him for maybe I mean Partey had a good game to be honest with you, so it wouldn't have been fair to take him off, but I thought, we'd probably seen Jorginho to keep it defensive. But I think it makes sense to be honest with you because Man City are hard enough to play as it is, but when we're with 10 men, it's even harder. So I think we know our defense could probably manage with that, and as a whole, as a team, collectively, we did really well. To defend. So I think it's obviously a bit of a shame if Ben White's playing when he's got a bit of an injury. I know we saw Kivior as well. I think Calafiori looked a bit like he had a bit of cramp. It was
Yeah.
very tough
Mhm.
for those players having to do that for like a full half, just sit back. Like we had the ball a few times. I know Havertz had a little chance, but um yeah, if you look at it now, we did really well, and it's a good point. But yeah, I didn't really expect us to attack that much, but I know if the red card wouldn't have happened, I do think it would have been a quite a different game.
I agree.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I do wonder if would we have won that, or because I know, like I've very much said that our attack at the moment, I think we're lacking a little bit of something. I know Odegaard being out obviously doesn't help. So obviously we did really well on like those set pieces to score, but like you said, I think the second half we did what we had to do to defend. The first half was very good from us, um, but yeah, I feel quite proud really of how we've done it, and I completely get Arteta's sort of decisions. Like when Ben White came on, I just thought we're just gonna sit back and park the bus now.
Nah, Arteta, I was chatting to some of my mates earlier, right? And then I was basically saying that no, like Arteta basically channeled his inner Jose
Yeah,
Mourinho with those parking the bus tactics, because I do agree with you that if that red card had not happened, we definitely would have attacked more. We would have definitely gone on to the counter attack, because Trossard was basically our main threat.
yeah.
Um, and I still would have thought at some point Arteta would have made the substitution. He may have probably would have introduced Raheem Sterling at one point,
Yeah, I thought that as well. Yeah.
but um, I don't know. I guess in the end you can say what, fair enough. I think the boys collectively defensively they were just a unit. I mean, you can see the frustrations from not from City on pitch, but as well as Pep. I
Yeah.
mean, the man literally kicked the chair.
It was so nice to see him so rattled like that, honestly. I loved it.
I
It's always
loved it.
those that's, it's always us that are in that situation. So because you could really see at that moment, like he was sort of running out of ideas. Like I know he started just throwing Foden on, and you know when I saw Foden come on, I thought, oh my god, like you look at
I
the players
was
they have.
yes, when Foden came on, I'm not I was sweating because you know how like I feel like Foden is in the same he's in the same realm as Saka in terms of like big
Mm,
impact
yeah,
players. And Guardiola was pulling out all the stops. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I and he basically put on like his whole squad. He's like, nah, I'm gonna throw every single option that I have on there, and it didn't work until like the last few seconds, and that's what really just aches me inside.
I know,
Um,
yeah,
but do you think, we were talking about Kai Havertz earlier. Do you think he is? I guess for this game, we didn't really see much of him. Do you think he would like if shooting should had he I think he was taken out. I think Gabriel Jesus played as well.
yeah.
Um, should he had started for this
Do you know what?
one?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think Jesus played in the Champions League in the midweek and he didn't do great, but I think as well he didn't get a lot of service, sort of, from the midfield. But I think if I was Arteta, I would have started Havertz because I think in the
Mm,
first half you expect him to be clinical. I think there was a moment in the second half, it might have been Havertz actually, where we were defending and I think he nearly got it over the keeper or something happened. And I think in that moment, you've got to you really need to score that because that would have won us the game. But you know, I think Havertz it's a tough one because I think recently he's not been is good in sort of him taking those chances. I think his off the ball work's very good, and you can't deny that he's works really hard for the team. And I
right.
know in the second half he didn't have much of a choice. Like he couldn't really go and attack himself. So we all, as a team, we all had to defend. So I think the second half you couldn't really have a go at him. But yeah, I think the first half I think probably want to see a bit more from him. But yeah, it's a difficult one. Jesus is coming back now, and I think it'd be good to see him probably get a bit more of minutes, like regular minutes, to see what he's about. Because I know the Champions League game happens, and we know how good he is in the Champions League. But I think if our team was, with Odegaard in and maybe things would be a bit different for Jesus because we know Partey and Rice are back together in this team. So it's a very tough one to say at the moment, but I think Havertz is probably more of the starter over Jesus, but that could easily change throughout the season. And what about you? What do you think?
Personally, I think I would have I would have said maybe like probably before Atalanta.
Mhm.
Well, no, I'm sorry. After Atalanta, I wouldn't have started Havertz because again, that game left such a sour taste in my mouth. Because I felt like, and this is no disrespect to Atalanta at all. I think they are a
Yeah,
great team, especially under the leadership of the great Gian Piero Gasperini. But again, I think we should have took care of business, but that's a whole different topic.
yeah, yeah,
but but no, I think yeah, I think for me, I'm Havertz. I mean, that's Arteta's main man up front. There's no question about it. Um, I felt like I was more so bamboozled by the fact that Arteta was switched for a 4-4-2 because I mean he usually does like a either a 3-4-3 or a 4-3-3 type of system where he has mostly his wingers because it's very winger centric.
yeah,
Say. So yeah, because Havertz he likes to drop deep. He has the height advantage for when it comes to set
yeah,
pieces, and with Jesus, he can also drop deep, but he's short. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So um, I don't know. For me, I think it probably is more than likely he would have started Havertz anyway, and then Trossard would have been shimmied into the midfield because I think he's in the past few games he's been working well as a number 10. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think with like Havertz, he can sort of play a bit more deeper, and I think I think because of everything at the moment, it's sort of difficult with Odegaard being out of the team and finding who's the right person in that role. I think Trossard does a good job, to be fair. I think Havertz,
Mhm.
I think you'd rather him be up top. Um, I know at the moment he's not really had many chances. He's not really scored. We want to see more of that. Um, I mean, maybe we've got Bolton coming up on there, so maybe that could be a good game. I expect sort of a lot of rotations for that, but I think you make a good point as well about Sterling as well. I would like to see a bit more of him. I don't know if Arteta's maybe resting him because we've got, we might need him a bit later on in the season, or we'll have a lot of more tougher fixtures coming up as well. But yeah, I would like to see more of Sterling, to be honest.
Definitely. Now, seeing as we did Drew, there's a been like a that's result obviously has been the main topic of discussion for a lot of members in our in our fan base. For you, yeah, are you happy with this result?
I think. It's a tough one because I think at the start of the game, when Man City scored, I was sort of worrying it was going to be like a thrashing because they sort of started off really well actually. They had a lot of they had a lot of free kicks and everything was going their way, and I think, but then when Calafiori scored, I thought we're back in it now. When you're 2-1 up, you sort of think just hold on and win this.
Mm,
But yeah, I think it's a positive result. I think if we'd lost to Man City, I would have been quite gutted, to be honest, because at the start of the season you want to keep getting positive results, whether that's a win.
mm,
And I think you can take a draw against a top side. Like if we come up against other teams like Liverpool, you obviously want to go and win, but a draw isn't the worst result. Um, but we would have been top of the table. I was like looking when we were winning. But it's so early on in the season. And I think Man City and other teams will know that we're there to keep fighting for the title. Um, I think we've got to win the league this season, but I think obviously so devastating at the end because like we said, we were like minutes away, and it's like things at the end of the season you might look at the points you dropped and you might think, oh, what if we would have done that? Like last season, there were certain games you look back on and think if you'd won that, things would have been different. But I think with this, I think it's definitely gonna at the end of the season probably be a positive point, especially as Man City are so good. The team they have out was obviously amazing, and we've had Odegaard out, our captain, and he's a big loss. So yeah, I think we're doing well at the moment, but obviously it would have been nice for us to get a win against Man City.
I hear it, and considering the fact that it's almost been 10 years since we have won at the Etihad. Last time we won was back in January 2015. It's been
That's
some
like
time.
nearly 10 years. Yeah, it's a while. That's so
It's
long
peak.
ago.
It's peak.
It's so annoying because we're like 1 or 2 minutes away, and it's
It's
just yeah,
annoying still. It's the most frustrating way to end the game, but it's just the nature of how the
yeah,
game is now. Uh but you know what? Honestly, I would say this. The fact that we won against Spurs last week, um, Atalanta. I'll say this: with Champions League, I don't really care about Champions League at the moment because I don't think we have the squad yet
yeah,
to really compete in Champions League. For City, I've said that I thought that this should have been a must win because I think I don't know if I don't know what's your take on it, but I feel like our team is more so a mentality based team where I feel like in certain situations, like say against City or against Villa or maybe against Liverpool coming up later on, like those types of games, the boys have to be mentally prepared because those types of games can possibly decide titles. And
yeah,
so we saw last season when we lost 3 points against Fulham, and of course when we lost against Villa, those games we should have been. they were down to just poor performances. Now, I'm not saying that against City it was down to the poor performance. Not at all. We performed very well. Um, just saying that I think mentally, like the mentality just starts to factor in for some of the boys, because if maybe perhaps some of them may feel like
Mm.
we should have gotten 3 points. Perhaps it's just it's starting to kick in. You know what I mean? That they're not that
Yeah.
they kind of felt cheated, etc. But at the end of the day, um, I felt like it should have been a must win. But in the grand scheme of things, I'll happily take a draw,
Yeah.
because it's we still get a point. It's still early on in the season, and um, we do take on Leicester next week, and I think that should be an easy game.
Yeah.
In all fairness to, I mean, in all fairness to Leicester, I'm sorry. Listen, yeah, you guys do have Vardy back, and he's still he's aging like fine wine, but come on.
Yeah, I think like because we've played so many tough teams like Spurs, Man City,
Yes.
and you go to Leicester and you think you can relax a bit. I mean, we know it's not going to be easy, but like you said, it's an easier fixture than the ones we've had.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, you make a good point as well because like last season with like Fulham, there was that game where we should have won, and it's those sort of games where you think the team need to mentally be prepared for as well. I think every game you've got, like I always take it a game at a time, but I think Fulham is a game that will always be hard for us, and Fulham as well are doing really well this season. But it's those sort of smaller teams like lower down in the league where you probably on paper we should be beating them, but in reality we do struggle. I know Southampton used to be a team that we could just never beat, and now we've got to face them this season. So I just hope that we sort of don't like. I think as we know, like we know our fixtures for us are going to be tough, and the
Yes.
lower league teams we know we should win. But I think we shouldn't really underestimate them. Like I don't think the players underestimate them, but I think we've just got to be like you said, we've got to be ready for every game because every point matters really. And you look back on the season and think, will it be another season where we lose out by a few points, or will it be a season where the points we've got so far is the difference for us winning the league? So, yeah,
Right.
it's going to be a big test for us this season, definitely.
So, I mean, from our performances so far throughout, since Odegaard's injury, um, do you reckon that we will do by without him? Because yeah, we're gonna be without him for about, let's say, a month and a half or so.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, isn't it? Because I think if I'm right, he's probably I've heard that he would be due back around November time, which
Hmm.
is a long time. And don't get me wrong, when he was playing, I know he wasn't like how he was last season. I think the first game of the season, the first two games, he did good, but I think ever since he picked up an injury, I think he had an injury in one of the games. It might have been the Spurs game, I can't remember, but in that game, you could tell he wasn't the same after. Um, but yeah, I think the players are doing really well at the moment to face sort of what's coming our way with that. And Odegaard is our captain as well, and that's a big loss for the team. But I think, we're doing well, so I think we'll still do well. Obviously, I expect us to lose games, throughout the time. Odegaard's I don't expect us to win every game. I don't expect us, to play like beautiful football because he's that sort of player that creates those chances. And I know he might not score an awful lot of goals, but he really helps sort of the Saka to get into good positions. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't really know sort of what games have coming up, but I know when it comes to the other tougher games, you really need him in those moments. So we're gonna miss him a lot, but it's just hard because November for me feels ages away, and it really is. Honestly, it's a while. I'm just kind of glad, I suppose, it's not like a season end. Like I know Rodri's done his ACL, so I feel quite relieved that it's not that quite bad. But I know with the games we had coming up, like beating Man City without Odegaard, that is really good, to be honest with you, because Odegaard is a very special player for us. But I think it's going to be tough, isn't it, without him? When he's back, we'll realise how much we've missed him. Like when him and Rice were out of the team, I was like, they're so good, and made you realise how much we need them. So yeah, it's going to be tough, but I think we'll do okay, to be honest. I think as a team, like you said, mentally we're quite strong. So,
Oh,
but
very
yeah,
much so.
it'll be a tough test, definitely.
No, it definitely will be, and I think you brought up a excellent point that even without Odegaard, and then when we were down just 10 men, then we managed just to get just we were managed to just to get a draw, and how City were
Yeah,
clearly so frustrated. It just proves that, listen, we are. I think we have elevated our game, which is undeniable. Um, and I think I think if the right system is there, I think Arteta, I have enough trust in him that he will that he has a plan B
mhm,
because Odegaard is out. Um, and maybe this is the first. Maybe this is not the. Maybe this won't be the last time we will see this 4-4-2 used. Maybe we may see it against Bolton soon, or maybe against Leicester. But um, perhaps he might try another system because with Odegaard gone. But I think we may get by without him for now.
yeah,
But again, I think after what I saw yesterday and how we performed against Spurs, um, it's giving me good hope. I'd
yeah.
say. Um, but um, I do want to ask a final question here. Um, who was your man of the match?
Do you know what? That's so tough because I was speaking about this yesterday. I'm
Mm,
really torn between Gabrielle and Raya because I think like they were both just equally as important. Like it's hard as well because you know what, Gabrielle is obviously providing us those goals as well as
mhm.
defending incredible. But do you know what? It's so hard. I can't decide. I'd probably it's so hard because at the same time, like when Raya first came in, he isn't the player he is now. Like he has improved so much. Like for me, this season he's probably been like the best goalkeeper, in the Premier League so far. And like the progress he's made is amazing, and he
Mhm.
definitely kept us in that game. I'd probably go Gabriel just because I feel like he had so much work to do, and obviously he got us that goal. But yeah, I just felt the way what I was saying on the video I did that Haaland got a goal, but we kind of kept him fairly quiet, if I'm being honest. Like, I know he was trying to cause us problems, but him and Saliba just knew how to kind of deal with him, which is amazing. But defensively, like Timber as well, I think the whole, defense did amazing. The whole team, um, did well. But what about you? Who would you go for? Because I know it's a hard one because there's
There's
so
so
many, like the whole team.
there's
Yeah.
so many options.
I know it's hard to pick. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good, nice thing to have all these options, but it's hard.
No, but I'm glad you mentioned Urine Timber because I thought he was sensational yesterday. He had Doku in his pocket. You know what I
I
mean?
love him. Yeah,
And like that's the thing. Timber, I think, has been. I knew that. I mean, it was unfortunate last season because of his injury, but I knew that he was going to come back with a vengeance. People like last season, certain some Arsenal fans were just writing him off, but I'm like, no, 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 do not sleep on him. He's going to come good. Give him his season, and you'll see why.
yeah.
And he has been performing. Villa, Spurs, and now City. Man is cooking.
I
He
love him.
will
Yeah, he's amazing.
continue. And for me, I have been loving his performances. Um, and honestly, I mean, David Raya. Since we're speaking on him, I will say this: for me, best goalkeeper in the Prem, undisputed, no question.
There's no one
Uh,
close to him. I know it sounds bad because Man City and Liverpool have got great goalkeepers,
they do as well, no
but yeah,
question.
but it just to me, like the way Raya's performing, he feels like levels above anyone right now. Like, don't get me wrong, like last season it was interesting because people would
Mhm.
say he's only good because of the defense,
That's not true.
but
No.
he always like don't get me wrong, I know he had the odd bad moments and he towards the end of the season he got so much better. Um but like I just think the saves he made like last season as well as this season, is absolutely amazing. It's nice, like I know we all love Ramsdale that's happened now, but it's nice to know that like we've got that goalkeeper now that will probably be here for a very long time, hopefully. And I sort of like his journey through football that he's gone through the sort of the lower league teams, he's come up and he's at Arsenal now, and yeah, David Raya doing amazing. I'm really excited to see what else he can bring throughout the season. I love him. He's amazing.
I am as well. My man used to play non-league football, and now he's playing
I
in
love
Premier
that.
League,
Like his life is
Champions League.
upgraded.
I,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I
I
love
love the
him.
story, man.
It's so lovely, like, it's sort of nice, like, you know, he's not always had it easy. I know sort of
Mm,
playing in lower leagues will be so tough as well.
mm.
But this is obviously a different type of challenge for him. But yeah, it's great. It's hard to pick really player of the match though, isn't it? I mean, Timber, like you said, I think as well, like because he's had such a big injury, I
Mm.
didn't expect much of him this season because he could pick up other injuries. Like I think the first season back after a big injury, I don't want to expect too much of him. But like you said, like he's been amazing so far, and I just couldn't imagine him not being in the starting 11 now because he's doing so well.
I hear it. I hear that. Um, you know what? Since we're talking about players, and this will be my final one. What are your thoughts on Martinelli? Because he's been dividing a lot of opinions amongst
Yeah.
Arsenal fans. What's your take on him?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, to be honest with you, I think he had a better game yesterday at the first half.
Mm,
I mean, you can't really talk about two halves because we didn't really attack in the other half, so it was a bit hard for him. But I think I think as well, like I thought like Calafiori and him had a great partnership in that game. I think if we saw more of that, then I think you know I'm hopeful for him. But a lot of fans aren't happy. I mean, for me, I'm a bit worried about his future because he's not really scoring. His end product at the moment is something that he's really struggling with. And obviously, as a team, we need to finish our chances. And he's not the only one that can't always take his chances. But I think if you look at him as a player, you know he wants to score so bad. And when he scores, I can just feel more goals coming for him. I think his confidence will be flowing after that. But obviously, at the moment, he's not doing great with his goals. We need to see a bit more from him. And we know he's got the pace. We all know he's a great player, but I just worry about his future because you know if Arteta's prepared to get rid of move Smith Rowe on, he's quite bold with his decisions, which is fair enough because we want to challenge for the league and win things. But um, yeah, if Martinelli did leave, it would hurt because we've watched his growth over the few years. He's helped us through a lot of difficult times. When, to be honest, he could have just left us. Um, and yeah, I think he's. I want him to do well so bad, but
I
obviously,
do too.
it's. How do you feel about it? Like, how do you think this season like will play out for him? Because I want him to just have a good season. I want him to stay, but if it's going this way, it might not happen.
So, I think for those who have been who watch my channel a lot, yeah, especially in recent weeks, they would know that I have been Martinelli's biggest critique.
Big man thing, yeah. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
Honestly, I'm giving Martinelli till the end of the season because
Yeah,
it's just he's had plenty of opportunities to showcase his skills. We know what he is capable of. He can fit. He is a great finisher. He has the pace. He can dribble. He has all the makings of a great player for us. He has proven that for us in seasons prior. But where is it now? What happened
yeah, we need to see it
last
now.
season?
Yeah.
What happened? What's going on here now? I feel as though I feel like yes, it is a confidence issue, and it's for me, it's kind of like when he's in the final third. I feel like he's having a mental debate with himself whether to either
Mm.
finish or to pass the ball. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you have a player like that, in the team who's trying to challenge with the league, in making those odd decisions, you can't have that. You have a player who has the quality and has that instinct and know what to do up front. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it?
but I'm giving him till the end of the season and seeing what happens. If he doesn't turn up, then because of his salary that he is making 180K a week for us. Um, Getting him off the books, maybe bringing someone else on the left hand side. I think I wouldn't be too mad at that, but we shall see. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt this season.
I think, like you said, it's a tough one for him because, like you said, sometimes you don't know. Like he himself, and we don't even know what he's gonna do. But I think he, like in last minute when he has to pass or shoot, he can't really decide. And then the thing is, like, I know I can't remember which game it was. It might have been the Spurs game where he could have passed to Saka, but he chose to shoot.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
if he had a lot of confidence, that would have gone in the back of the net. Um, but then it's a tough one. Like he can't decide whether or not to shoot. But like I know on his day, if he takes those chances when he has that confidence, it will go in the back of the net. But I think at the moment it's a tough decision, isn't it, really? I think I'm with you, like, I think at the end of the season, I'd probably then think about how I feel like a season's gone because he's like, I thought he got better yesterday. I think he works well with Calafiori, but I know we want to see more of him, you know, not just assists, but sort of creating chances as well, looking threatening on that side because we know he can do that. So, yeah, I definitely think we've got to give him till I think a season is fair because the season's just started, but I think it's understandable if we have our concerns or doubts about him right now because he's not really had the best start to the season.
I definitely agree. We shall see what Martinelli does. Hopefully he does turn up and that confidence does happen because
Yeah,
again, as much as I critique him and I criticize him, I mean, it's all for the interest of one thing, and that is the benefit of Arsenal Football Club. You know what
yeah,
I mean? And so I want us to win trophies, to be competitive, which we are competing, but again, I want us to lift silverware.
yeah,
And the boys, then that is not just Martinelli, but every single one of them who is wearing that shirt. They need to be 100% in and performing at their best. And I feel like Martinelli, I think he can do better.
yeah,
And I think we saw that against Atalanta. Arteta called him out in his post match interview where Gabi Martinelli had two great chances and he didn't finish them. So I think he needs to take that criticism and to take it to heart because we need
yeah.
him for those moments like that. So
Yeah, yeah, there's hope definitely that throughout the season we'll see more of him. And you know what, I think as well, like I said before, with sort of the cup games, it might be a good chance for him because in his games he's probably likely to score. And obviously, if he
mhm,
gets goals, that'll obviously help him with his confidence. So, yeah, I really do hope he can pick up the pace and, yeah, get his goals because we know he's such a great player to have around Arsenal and we don't want to have these conversations of later on the season, him moving on. So, yeah, let's just hope that he'll be here for a few more years if he obviously his confidence gets better.
100%. We shall see. But people, this was an excellent discussion I have here with my special guest, Sophie. Sophie, thank you so much for coming on here and just chatting up with me here. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. A big thank you to you as well for inviting me on your amazing channel. You're doing amazing, and please do as well subscribe if you're watching this to your channel because you're getting close to 100 subscribers. You're doing incredible things. So yeah, yeah, I like this video too, and yeah, keep up your good work. I'm always happy to come on, and I'll definitely have to have you on my channel as well too.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And people, please, if you haven't yet, smash a like, subscribe, and of course, please show some love to Soph's channel as well. Subscribe to Gunnar Gossip TV. Show some love. Again, incredible
Oh,
content
thank
as
you
well.
so much. Thank you. I do appreciate it. And yeah, thank you again for having me on. And yeah, keep up your great work and you're doing amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much, love. I appreciate that. But
No
anyway, people,
worries.
we are out.